Hi there, Jane Evans, your lasting life change coach, here for you if you are truly seeking transformation. I wanted to talk today about shame. Now, I know that good old Brené Brown, she has kind of done shame to death, and it's a topic that many of us may have first kind of thought about because of her TED Talk and the many interviews that she's done on shame. I wanted to explore it in terms of when we are raising children, because I've had quite a few people contact me lately, giving me examples of how they massively reacted to their children's behaviour. And when we unpicked it, it happened because actually they had felt shame themselves because of a situation, something their child had done in public, and it tripped them really quickly into a feeling of shame because they felt criticised by the person who'd made that comment or raised their eyebrows, or maybe had even intervened and said something to them directly about their child and their child's behaviour. Now, most of us who are raising or have raised children, we're very familiar with this sense of especially when we set foot outside the house, wanting our children to behave well, whatever that means. And often that comes from a place of our insecurities, because we're so anxious about being judged by others, and we're so worried, even though we may not recognise it as being linked to shame, that our children's behaviour will flick us into feeling that we're not good enough, that we're bad parents. It's honestly, it's such a familiar, ingrained thing in so many of us. I think we're really not conscious about it until our child does something somewhere. So they bump into a stranger. They may be rushing around in a store and they knock something. They start having a really big emotional outburst, and we can see and sense people's criticism around us. Now, it's very easy and it's very automatic in those moments for us just to get flicked into shame. And how do we know this has happened? Well, at the time we probably don't, because it's familiar. We just react, and we react from a place of automatic survival. So we get flicked automatically into fight. So that may be that we get very angry, very upset with our children, and lots of words come out of our mouths, or we grab them, or in some way we temporarily lose it with them in some way, shape or form. That's being in fight. Flight may be that we actually just get the urge to just leave the scene of the crime. Now, sometimes that could be with them in tow, or we could just temporarily just move away from them in quite a dramatic way that's actually really frightening to them. We may just temporarily freeze, which could go into complete shutdown mode. So something's happened, the person's had a go at you or made a comment, and actually you just become completely immobilized in the moment. Now, of course, all of these things are very difficult for us, but they're super scary for the child. The child has sensed this change in us. They may be directly experiencing the consequence of the change that's happened in us, linked to, yes, our survival system, which experiences that shame as feeling like a threat to our survival. That's why it flicks us into fight, flight, freeze or flop, or in some cases, super befriending. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Oh, say sorry to the nice lady. We kind of go over the top trying to befriend the person who's maybe tutted at us, because we've got flicked into shame. So just catching ourselves in those moments is honestly, it's really hard. But if we start to have an awareness that this is even a possibility, that this is even that something that is in us happens to us, and if we can't catch ourselves at the time, but hopefully by working on it, focusing on it, being more grounded we can, at least afterwards we can reflect and realise, do you know what? That was about me. That was about my stuff. I got flicked into shame. That's why I went off the deep end at my child. So now I need to go repair this with them, because it will have come as a shock to the child. It will have been a really emotionally, possibly physically uncomfortable experience for them, and they won't forget it. And then they've got this ongoing thing of also experiencing shame because of our shame, and then us adding to it by having a go at them. So they already sense this change in energy from the stranger, and then we just piled on the shame to them as well. So you can see what I'm saying. So it's really, this is so important that we take this seriously. Not to be mean to ourselves, but to recognise, oh yes, these are things that make me feel ashamed. And then I react in this way towards my child. And actually, I don't want to do that anymore, because they're just children. You know, children make mistakes because they're children and they have underdeveloped brains. So we're the adults in this, and we can start to work on noticing, being more grounded before we go out, and rescuing ourselves and our children in these often really challenging situations. So don't go away giving yourself a hard time, but do think, do you know what? This is something I'm really going to look for now, and I'm going to start working on, because I don't want history to repeat and to be passing this on to my child, because they don't deserve to be experiencing shame because of my history with shame.